show still. My name is Obi Ivy. Good to be with you today. Friday is the final lap of the Super Breakfast show for me for the week. So let's see how we can end with a bang this morning. Joining me on the program that I mentioned before. Now, if you've been following the show at this time every day for the last 2 weeks, we have been looking at the popularization of the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Law of Rivers State, law passed in 2020. And this program is aimed at enlightening people about the law and its provisions, and just generally letting you know that there is this law in existence, first of all, and there are benefits for you as provided by the law. And it's the initiative of the Center for Environment, Human Rights and Development, CERD. It's a program sponsored and funded by the European Union with technical support of Citizens for Transformation and, of course, the British Council. And as usual, again, joining me is the Program Associate, Center for Environment, Human Rights and Development, Obiageli Oraka Oyifore, Esquire. Good to be with you again today, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Obi. I'm glad to be here again today.
All right, so today may just be our last time on this program. So real quick, let's see how much we can achieve within the time that we have.
All right. Good morning to our dear listeners again. And if you have been following us, I will say thank you so much. And I hope that you've learned quite a bit on the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Law of Rivers State, which was passed in December 2020. Yes, and if you're joining us for the first time, I'm sure that there are still quite a few things that you can still pick from the program. So thank you so much. Yes, we have been having this conversation around Violence Against Persons Prohibition Law of Rivers State. We started with introduction of the law itself, and we said that the law, Violence Against Persons Prohibition Law, is a law to prohibit, to eliminate all forms of violence against persons, whether it's happening in private or in public, to also give remedies to victims, and also to punish offenders and other related matters. That is the definition of the law, and it's found at the opening statement of the law itself. So we also try to look at the types of offenses that this law envisaged, and from there we moved to the innovations under the law. We looked at the newly introduced laws. We looked at what makes the law thick. And then we proceeded to also look at the victims' rights under the law. And yesterday we commenced a much more in-depth conversation on implementation actors, who are the people that are part and parcel of the implementation process, because they are the people that will run with the law and ensure that the import of the law is maximized for the society. So we looked at the coordinating ministry, which is the Ministry of Social Welfare and Rehabilitation. Yeah. And we looked at their duties, and if we are able to find time after the other conversation, then we could go back and look at those other duties again. But we need to move fast because we have much to talk about today. Okay. So then we talked about the service providers, people who are accredited under by the Ministry of Social Welfare to act as service providers for the purposes of the implementation of VAP law. Then now we are moving to people that are called protection officers. They are also appointed by the Ministry of Social Welfare. Okay. They also act as service providers, but they are individuals. You know, the other service providers are people that run organizations that are registered under KAMA or any other law that is in operation in Nigeria, and they apply to the Ministry of Social Welfare, and the ministry accredits them as and registers them as accredited service providers. So now, protection officers, what are their duties? Their duty, the first duty of a protection officer is to assist the court. When a matter gets to court, it is the protection officers that render the necessary services to ensure that there's a smooth flow of the matter in court. This is found in Section 39 of the VAP law. Their other duty is to coordinate the activities of the police and service providers. So they are the people, they live in our communities. They are people from different communities, picked under different local governments around River State, and trained, groomed, and empowered to become service providers. They are under government payroll, actually, managed by the Ministry of Social Welfare. They live within the people. They are the people's victims' first point of call when any sort of violence against person occurs. And gratefully, these people also act to protect other citizens who might be threatened, because sometimes it might be a close relative that committed such a crime. But being a concerned citizen, you need to report. You need action to be taken regarding that incident. So you quietly sneak to protection officer, make the report, and move on. Then he takes over the matter because he's already empowered by law to take over the matter. So as a neutral person, it's safer that way. So we are hoping that the Ministry of Social Welfare will commence the appointment of these officers sooner than later, because they have such a huge role to play. So that leads us still to the role number 2, which is to coordinate the activities of the police and service providers. They are the people that coordinate these activities on behalf of victims. And then they also make application for protection order. They are the people that when they see that bigger violence is about to happen, they rush or to avert a deadlier outcome. They rush to court to get the protection order. We discussed protection order 2 days ago. Duty to make applications for attachment of salaries and debts and bank accounts of the respondent. Remember, we said that a protection order a judge may order that a respondent, or let's say an abuser, to pay certain amount of money to the victim.
Okay.
To ameliorate hardship. This happens especially where in a domestic relationship, maybe there are children, or the wife, the one party is dependent on the other, but because they're having problems in the relationship, the person who is actually
the dependent.
Yes, the person who has been taking care of the other party will now decide that because this relationship is not working out, I'm not providing for you again
anymore. Right.
So he leaves her high and dry. If there are children too, the children suffer consequences of what they do not know about. So when the victim applies to court, either through service provider or through the protection officer or through the police or social welfare, the court may award that the order that the respondent begin to pay certain amount for the upkeep of the victim. Unfortunately, you discover that sometimes those people would be so hard-hearted. I've had someone husband to a client who said over his dead body, would he make provision for his children so long as the children are not with him.
Wow.
Yes, so even when court makes such an order, you will discover that some of those people might still not want to. So,
but let me ask a question. What if these children in question that we're referring to are, we have 1 or 2 or so that are over the age of 18, but they're still dependent, or they were still dependent on the family and their father? Does it still?
No, they will not qualify because it's assumed that after 18, one becomes an adult. But I cannot put a blanket statement on that, because you know that every law has an exception. So assuming this person is 18 and in the university, and the father gives up on paying school fees.
Exactly.
Yeah, I believe that
you have people, 18, 19, 20
that are in university. I think they qualify. I believe they qualify, but you argue it out in court.
Okay.
Yes. So we owe our children that duty. Thankfully, a lot of people do it as a matter of conscience, but there are others who have to do it under compulsion. So we need to figure out how to capture that in framing our court proceedings so that they qualify. So the protection officers have this duty to make an application for the attachment of salaries where the man is still adamant to obey the protection order. So the protection officer makes this application again, and either the court chooses to fine him for contempt, which is 300,000 naira outrightly, or the court also mandates the office where he's working to pay the salary directly to the victim and the children. Yeah, to his ward.
Okay.
Yeah, so we discussed all that yesterday, and then we move on also to duties of the state coordinator for the prevention of domestic violence. We say that his duty is very minimal. I'm sure that they will just have to appoint somebody within a staff within the Ministry of Social Welfare itself to just do this. So the coordinator submits annual report on implementation of VAP law to the ministry. That's what he does. And then he forwards a copy to the Attorney General. But this appointment must mandatorily be made. So duties and responsibilities of police too, under the VAP law,
okay.
They have the duty to arrest with or without warrant. They also have duty to assist victims to file complaints. During the course of my teaching, I keep telling police officers, do not assume that they know how to make this draft. Guide them, because most of these people that will utilize this VAP law, either they are indigent or they are illiterate.
Okay.
So guide them, because they also lack the necessary experience. There's also the duty to convey victim to the hospital for medical care. We've had victims that give up on pursuing their rights just because they do not have the money to move around. So the duty, the VAP law has mandated the police officer. It's not just about sitting behind your desk and issuing a letter to a particular, making a referral to a hospital. It's also very important that you convey the victim to the hospital.
Who is going to pay the bill, though?
Who is going to pay the bill? If the person is indigent and has an NGO standing for him or her, they could pay. Doctors Without Borders offer free medical care under these circumstances.
But when there isn't access to all of this, who pays the bill? Because I'm following the thoughts of the police having the mandate to convey people.
The police does not have the mandate to pay for the hospital.
So
bill.
they're also not obligated to. They are not
under any form of obligation. The VAP law did not mandate the police to pay.
Okay.
So we only encourage them to take these victims to hospitals where these services are offered free of charge. Like if there's sexual violence.
To hospitals where these things are offered free of charge.
Yes, they are professional association of medical practitioners, like the Doctors Without Borders. You also have Medical Women Association, M1 also. Yeah, Medical Women Association of Nigeria. I think they also help under these circumstances. There are also NGOs that they could access to, that may render one or two, free services to such people.
Okay.
But I still advise victims, it's your life we're talking about. If these services are not available to you, use your money, take care of yourself. And in the course of pursuing justice, I am sure that these monies will be refunded. So it is very important that you do not wait for anybody, because it's your life. If it is good, it is you it serves. If it is bad, you'll be the one to bear the most pains.
Okay.
Yeah, so beyond that, too, the police also has the duty to inform the victims of remedies available under the law. The police officers that we trained, so far, we told them, stop telling them to settle out of court. Give them all the options. encourage them, especially where sexual violence is involved, to seek justice. Do not just tell them settle out of court and go home. Most cases where it borders on defilement, we discover that the police will encourage the parents to settle out of court. They will give the parents money, they go, and the child bears lifetime trauma because of the abuse. So we encourage the police to tell them all the things that need to be done. If you're not able to give proper counseling, professional counseling under such circumstances, refer to people who can give them a sound counseling on what to do. There are definitely offenses that you shouldn't settle out of court. You know, physical violence should be one of them. And
even if it comes from a man and his wife, physical violence.
Physical violence, yes, physical violence.
Because we've seen cases, and we continue to hear cases of police saying this is family matter, we should settle, within the family. Because
you cannot give what you do not have. Remember, these police officers were raised under the atmosphere of patriarchal mindset. We're groomed to think in a certain manner growing up. This mindset we are changing. The more information you have around a particular issue, the more your mindset is what changing. Remember the chief that sat with me last week, I think on Tuesday.
Yes.
During the training, he wasn't sounding that way. But we succeeded in changing his mindset. Now he's pro women rights because he's found strong reasons, to support women rights. So you can imagine where we have like every other chief in Rivers State thinking that way. It's a big win for us.
Absolutely. And I think one of the things that will help is when people start to put their children, their daughters, their sisters and wives in these situations and see how they would respond.
Yeah, because once you mention wife, their antenna is wired. Men, their antenna stands up. They're already on defensive. But when you say daughter, mother, sisters, you see them mellowing down. So we continue to utilize that line. So the other duty that the police has is the duty to investigate the matter and the duty to do what? To prosecute. Yes. Thankfully, if they refuse to exercise this duty to prosecute, the victim can still go to court directly. So duty of healthcare providers, of course, we know to offer medical counseling, to also give medical attention, and also that duty to documentation. Yeah, so duty of lawyers facilitate investigation, assist with prosecution, also legal counsel, and also psychological support. Because we are groomed also to offer such psychological support to victims. The law already knows that we'll be meeting such cases often. So duties of civil society organizations please. I discussed under service providers, because they're majorly service providers. Remember that you file necessary reports, report to the police, protection order, duty to offer social, medical, and psychological support, follow up with survivors, apply to the Ministry of Social Welfare in order to be accredited as a service provider. Keep creating awareness on VAP law. Sensitization is very key. There are so many beautiful pieces of legislation out there, but because they're in the drawer, nobody knows about them. You can't use what you do not know exists.
Absolutely.
Yes. So we also look at the power that the court has under VAP law. We are really making a lot of progress.
Yeah, I'm excited.
So we are looking at the power the court has under VAP law. The court has the power to entertain matters resulting to violations of the provisions of VAP law. So that is the biggest mandate, yes. The court also has the power to make protection order, whether it is interim or otherwise. The court also has the power to issue warrant of arrest under Section 31(1). Yeah, discussing the powers of the court, yes. So it also has the power to make orders regarding a case, such as an order not to publish the identity of victims and court proceedings. That's found under Section 37(2). Remember, we said that VAP law deals majorly with offenses resulting within domestic relationships. So when these matters come to court, we do not want to make it public because we do not want to damage such relationships permanently. There are always prospects of rebuilding the relationship.
Yeah.
One. Also, because of stigmatization, if you do not handle such cases well, you discover that even the victim that you want to help, you have exposed the victim to double victimization and stigmatization. And some of this stigmatization is even the one that leave the most damaging impact on the victim. You do not want to label someone who had encountered sexual abuse, that one that gay, no, that gay we didn't don't read. You do not want, except where such cases was done in the open, in the first place. So it becomes, it's a public knowledge. But if it's a private matter, the court will always ensure that it is treated privately. Remember also that one of the rights of victims is the right to private trials,
Right.
so that they protect their identity and their dignity. So the court also has the power to make order for victims' compensation. We said it that especially regarding sexual offenses too, the court can make an order that the perpetrator compensates the victim, in as much as he's facing a jail term, definitely, but it can also be mandated to pay compensation to the victim. The court also have the power to award appropriate compensation commensurate with the extent and amount of damage against the state. You know that crime is an offense against the state, right?
Yeah.
Who even pays the judges? You know, this criminal law, if criminals are not in the society, government will be saving the money they are using to pay judges that also attend to criminal cases, right? The police and the rest of them. These apparatus were set up especially to ensure that we rid the society of crime. So sometimes when this matter gets to court, the court can still say, you have annoyed the state and you've caused the state to also waste resources, in the course of pursuing your matter. So you pay this amount of damage to the state. So these are the powers of the court. So you see that the powers of the court with regards to implementation of VAP law is extensive. Yeah, so that's where we draw the curtain on the powers of the court. Remember that yesterday we said that we run through, and then so we have a little bit of time to discuss what a victim should do when abuse occurs.
Yeah.
What do you do when abuse occurs? What do you do as a service provider when matter comes to you? What do you do as a concerned citizen when someone rushes to you to report that an abuse has taken place either against the person or another person? So we are saying that when a case is brought to you, if you're a service provider, it is expected that you already have a directory of other service providers.
Yeah.
And also the protection officers. This is the only way you can have an expedited actions taken towards redress. So we are begging all the NGOs that are involved in human rights in Rivers State to please have a directory, make inquiries, find the doctors that can offer the services, maybe when rape occurs, free pro bono services, lawyers that can do that, law-based associations, there's FIDA, there's AULA, and the other ones, human rights organizations, have a directory. Even have telephone numbers of the DPOs within your area that you can call when such matters occur, so that it is not at the point of getting a report that you begin to run helter-skelter. Thankfully, SAID is leading in this. We are also trying to set up a network of service providers around. We established in Thai local government. We established in Leme local government now. We established in Port Harcourt City. So, and these are people that have gone through these trainings, and it's a lot of progress. So we set up a WhatsApp group, and we liaise with each other when matters arise. So that's one. Number two is to take the victim away from the environment of abuse immediately. Where physical violence is is an issue, please ensure that you isolate the victim immediately.
All right. Okay. I think at this point it's only fair for us to see whether we can get questions on this conversation today. So if you'd like to join the conversation real quick, if you have a question to ask, please join us on the program. But if you've just tuned in, this is a program initiated by the Center for Environment, Human Rights and Development, CED, and it is the popularization of the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Law of Rivers State, funded by the European Union. If you have a question, call 070-507-91021 and 0811743101. Again, 0811-7431-021 and 070-507-91021. We're also streaming live on Facebook. So go to Facebook and search for Super FM PH, follow us and watch the program live. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So the other thing that you do is to go to the nearest police station to make a report. Go to the nearest police station, make a report.
Hello, Super FM Port Harcourt, good morning.
Yeah, good morning. This is Shifwala calling from a chief.
All right, welcome to the program. Go ahead, sir.
I've been listening to your program even yesterday.
Okay.
I want to become a service provider because I'm interested. You know, most of these crimes that happen in the rural areas, they are not being reported. And just see things and your plans are held behind. There's nothing you can do. So how does one become a member?
Okay.
To at least to stop all this mess?
All right, that's a great question. How does someone become a service provider to stand up and feel? I mean, I get where he's coming from, because sometimes you see certain things and you feel helpless.
You want to take action,
but you just feel like you're not in the right position to do so. And yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. We've conducted these trainings in 3 local governments. We are hoping that we secure more funding so we will be able to extend the training to Uche and the rest of the other local governments, because this message needs to go round. How do you become a service provider? If you have an NGO that is registered under CAMA, you can apply.
What does CAMA stand for? What is
Corporate and Company and Allied Matters Act.
Okay.
That is where you register as an incorporated trustee. That's how you can join. That's how you can become a service provider. You register the company and then the NGO. Then you go and make an application to the Ministry of Social Welfare. It is them that review your application and decide whether you qualify or not. But also, concerned citizens, in the time when it is time to make appointments for protection officers, concerned citizens, it might be advertised, and I don't know the process they might take, but if it is advertised, then he can qualify as to apply and for an appointment as a protection officer.
Okay.
But beyond that, there's a toll-free line that we also have.
All right.
So that you do not wait until you become the service provider before.
Okay. So let's have that toll-free line, just so that people can call the number.
So the toll-free line is 0800 2000 500. So it is 0800, then 2000, and then 500. Yes, so that is the toll-free line.
0800 2000 500.
You call it, there's an officer at CED, at the Center for Environment, Human Rights and Development, that will pick the call and then follow up with your matter, so that you do not let an abuse to slide because you do not know what to do. Please make sure that you utilize that number. It's very critical because we want to read the state of violence against persons. So that is that. So you have another, okay. So we have, then after making the report, we also need you to also ensure that you refer the matter to other relevant service providers for effective follow-up.
Okay.
Do not give counseling that is beyond you. Do not take actions that are beyond you. Do not offer medical services that you're not qualified to. Refer to the right people to do this. Then ensure that the victim receives right counseling. If sexual violence such as rape occurs, you should guide the victim not to take his or her bath before reporting to the police. This is
interesting.
To preserve DNA. Yes. Then, if the offense is also sexual in nature, you need to assist the victim with the timely medical attention, especially the post-HIV exposure medication, which must be taken within 72 hours to prevent HIV infection. This is very key. Stop hiding cases of rape because the person, in fact, in this country now, do you think a healthy person, someone who is free of STD, would carelessly sleep with anybody without protection? If you are a victim of rape, just know that the possibility that your rapist is HIV positive is over 90%.
Absolutely, because there are some people with this virus who have given it, who have made it their calling.
Yes.
To spread it either ways.
I'm telling you. So do not hide this, please. There's Doctors Without Borders. Rush to the police station at least. Let them refer you to the right medical facility that you will use so that you will get the HIV post-exposure medication. If you do not take this step, you will be facing maybe a lifetime of consequences. It's better to limit it to emotional trauma than to also add life-threatening sickness to it. So please. Then also, and other STDs, it's not only HIV, other STDs, including hepatitis B and the rest of it, they are also deadly.
And hepatitis kills faster than HIV.
Exactly. Most of them are also incurable. So take action. Silence is what kills. Speaking up is what gets you the help that you need. If the victim's safety or life is still under threat, please seek temporary shelter for her from the Ministry of Social Welfare. There's one that the governor, His Excellency Governor Nyesom Wike, built in Borikri. Borikri is massive. So we can access that facility through the Ministry of Social Welfare, or still call the toll-free line that I gave so that they can guide you on how to access that facility. Seek help of the protection officer to relocate the victim temporarily. Do not relocate people without reporting to the police. And even after relocating someone, make sure that you report to the Ministry of Social Welfare. This is very key, so that you will not be accused of abduction.
All right.
Please. Yeah, so then seek the help of protection. Okay, this I have handled. Ask the police or the protection officer to apply for protection order if the abuse is continuing or likely to continue. If they do not apply, please go ahead and make the application, especially where minors are concerned. For adults, you need their consent for you to apply for protection order. But for minors, you don't even need their parental consent. The welfare of the child is paramount, so you go ahead and take action. Seek information about all the remedies available to the victim and let the victim know about them so that the victim will be encouraged to seek redress, whether in court or out of court. Ensure that the victim's right to redress is upheld. Do not encourage anyone to accept settlement out of court, especially where the offense is sexual offenses such as rape, incest, sex abuse, and or sex exploitation. Seek professional counseling to mitigate trauma. Please, 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 our service providers, our protection officers, our police, our social welfare ministry, please, NGOs working as service providers, do not allow the victims to go home without getting the necessary psychosocial support that they need. A lot of these offenses damage permanently if they are not dealt with to avoid future consequences.
True.
Please. The other one is that encourage the victim not to keep silent. Abuse will continue until you speak up and seek help.
Very true.
Encourage victims to seek help. This is of paramount importance. The other one is to also ensure that you are very sympathetic, empathic to victims. Encourage them to be open to you, open and honest about their cases. Don't tell them, so why did you go to the guy? If someone is trying to tell you, oh, my husband beat me, why did you talk to him like that? No, that is not it. Allow the person to pour out their heart. Encourage them to understand that they are victims, that they have nothing to be ashamed about. Right. Don't question them why, you visited that guy. We all visited.
Why did you wear what you even wore?
Well, as if the children that are being molested, it is what they wore that attracted abuse. An abuser is an abuser. It had nothing to do with you and everything to do with him, because he sees beautifully displayed clothes on mannequins in the shops, and he doesn't steal them. It's about a show of power. It's about somebody that lacks self-control. So do not keep quiet. Do not feel bad. Do not think about stigmatization. Go ahead and continue to break the silence so that the abuse will stop. If you do not, it continues, and you will not even get the necessary help. So like I already mentioned, that if you want to apply for protection order for any victim, please ensure that if it's an adult, you get the consent. But a child, you can go ahead.
Right.
For also someone that lacks mental capacity, you can go ahead and make the application. Then you file your report with the Ministry of Social Welfare and also with the police, where the law mandates that you do that, and teach the victims to embrace healing of mind. That is where remedy starts, healing of mind. So this is... I know that our time is fast spent. That's why I try to run through, because we also know we are concluding the series today. So this is the much we can take, except if there's more to talk about.
Well, I want to say thank you, because this has been very enlightening, for me as a person. And I know that it's the same for everyone who's followed through with the conversation from beginning. And whatever questions that you may have, don't forget that the toll-free line is still open for you. And the good part is you don't need airtime to be able to call this number. All you have to do is call, ask questions, make complaints. It's very important that, if you're a victim or you know a victim, you need to speak up. And the phone line again is 0800 2000 500. That is 0800 2000 500. All right, 0800 then 2000 then 500. It's easy to remember the number like that. Call the number. It's an emergency toll-free line for the Center for Environment, Human Rights and Development. Thank you so much, Barrister Obiageli. Thank you very, very much for the time.
Thank you so much, Obi, for this privilege and the extra times I got.
Thank you very much. And we do hope to see you again soon, on another platform maybe, or another topic, and other things that will enrich the lives of everyone who's listening.
Thank you so much.
Enjoy your day.
You're welcome.
All right, so you've heard from them, from us as well, and that again was Obiageli Oraka Oyifore Esquire. She's a program associate, Center for Environment, Human Rights and Development, SED, and the program was funded by the European Union with technical assistance from the Center for Citizens Transformation and of course, the British Council. It's been a great, great run. But again, how it is. Next week, who knows what will happen next week. God willing, God giving us life, we'll have more interesting and, engaging things to discuss. But that's the much for this one. I'll go on a quick music break. When I come back, Business Hub will be taking 5 minutes only of our time. And it's 5 minutes that I can tell you is time spent and well spent at that. Don't touch the dial. Super 93.3 FM, Port Harcourt.
Oya Claro Joe, who they breathe? This not Super FM. We don't show.
Inspire, inform.
I'm Black Man.
Hey, I'm Tone Tonight.
Influence Super FM.
Turn